Football Then and Now, a fun look at football nostalgia and the modern game intertwined. Join us. Welcome to Football Then and Now. We are going retro this week, episode 20. We felt we weren't giving retro stuff the rub, Chris. But with the tournament, with Euro 2024 being, prevalent in the big stuff, we've now switched it. We're going into retro for our namesake. We want to blend it, don't we? And we're going to look at retro kits, Chris. Now, we had loads over the years, especially when we were younger.
Yeah.
And, I'm going to put some graphics in. Obviously, we've spoken about this prior, just to get our ideas together. So I'm going to put a few photos in. It won't be a long-winded episode by any stretch, but there's plenty of photos and just memories, Chris, and players. And like you said, certain kits, it reminded you of players.
Yeah.
And then you bought kits because of players, not necessarily because the team were doing well. And I think we were all of that mindset when we were younger, weren't we?
I think, obviously me and you have probably got hundreds of Everton tops from, 90s and obviously current. But there were players that played for certain clubs that we're going to mention with certain tops today why we like them, not just because they look nice, but just because of those players. And I think you were just so, everyone knows my love for Romario, and I didn't really care for Barcelona per se at that point. Obviously, I learned to enjoy Barcelona and their football in the early 90s because of Romario. But yeah, I only wore that kit because Romario played for them. But actually, Stuart, before we go into the actual episode, I'd like to say this little thing I told you about. I like to do it on this day. And now we're talking retro. So I've been scouring through today on this day if something happened in the Premier League. Now, obviously, we're looking in July. So we're looking at, it's going to be mainly transfer based. Okay?
Yeah.
And because a certain player has just become a manager of a national team, I think you know where I'm going with this. As you know, that Craig Bellamy has just become a Wales manager. But on this day, Stuart, in 2007, Alan Kirbishley, signed Craig Bellamy for West Ham.
So it all ties in with
It does, and I just thought that would be a perfect one because he's just become a manager.
It's a good addition to the show. It's a good idea about on this day. And definitely we need to keep that up every episode now, don't we? So we'll go to that. We'll get you to pick one every week. And fantastic news. Not to make it about that. I think it's the correct appointment. He's worked under company, hasn't he? He's been there. He was so fond of Gary Speed as well. He was a lot of the players were upset, of course, but he was very close to Gary Speed, wasn't he? And I think this could be good. Robert Page just ran out of steam. The consistency had gone. It'd be interesting to see what he does. The core group of players that he's got there, I think he can do it. He can do some. They can qualify. They can qualify for tournaments. But
the players are getting better.
You haven't got your elite player like Bale anymore. But everyone goes to that. But I think if they all get playing together as a core, as a group, as a team, they should be okay. There's
a few coming through, Stuart. That the lad from Birmingham, is it Jordan James or James Jordan? He is one hell of a talent. He's definitely going to be Premier League bound at some point. He's a talent for Wales. Wales have got players finally after all these years, after the Giggses and you say the Gareth Bales, they're finally getting a good core of youth players coming through that I think, that will push them on again because, they were close again, won't they, to getting into the Euros, and I'm sure they'll make a bloody good effort to get into the World Cup as well. And
all the best to Craig Bellamy.
Yeah, definitely.
Looking forward to it. The new era in Welsh international football. Chris, I'm going to pump in a shirt now from 04-05. And it is the Inter Milan home shirt. Obviously, in the tournament, in that summer, the Euro 2004 tournament, this was the kit, wasn't it? All the kits looked that style by Nike from the tournament, and then it came into club football, of course. So they're all that design. And just your memories of this kit, Chris, because you want to make reference to this one especially.
Well, just look at it now, right? Okay, it's not one of those kits that you're going to go, wow, that's a hell of a good top, for Inter Milan that season. It's quite basic. You know what I mean? I'm a bit of a basic bitch, really, Stuart, if I'm completely honest with you. But there was one player which stood out. Obviously, it didn't end great for him. Not say perfectly, but great for him. But this man, I think he was gonna blast Ronaldo's stats out the window, Stuart. I think he was amazing for the time we had him, and it was a very limited time. And as you see there, it's Adriano. He had everything, and I think it was molded into several players from Brazil, and he was just a beast, wasn't he? And like I say, unfortunately, certain things happened in his life, didn't it? And it derailed his football career. And he wasn't even that old. Let's be honest. You know what I mean? When he sort of went on his decline, and then he obviously disappeared from football forever. Then pretty much, hasn't he? But yeah, I like this kit, and I spent more time, obviously seeing this kit is because of that one man. That one man I was in awe of how good he was.
I'm getting Pro Evo 4 vibes here.
Oh yeah, he was on the front.
His stats on that, his pace. Oh my god! But yeah, iconic. Pirelli. They had Pirelli for many, many years, didn't they?
Yeah,
just iconic, man. And again, 2004, 2005, that shirt, the stripes. Obviously, because people are going to hear this in audio form, so we need to be a bit descriptive. Because they're not doing photos.
Very true.
It's kind of like, I feel like we're on radio. I always say a radio commentator, it's going to be harder to be a radio commentator than a television commentator,
Yeah.
Another one, Chris, from 95, 96. Dortmund there, Nike with the tick and the lettering, which made an appearance for Nike manufactured teams. I'm thinking about 4 or 5 years ago now. It was the tick for a long time, but they brought it back, didn't they? And this one with the Continental on it, obviously Continental tires.
Yeah.
The yellow, the bright yellow, the zigzagging at the top there.
Mm-hmm.
We were saying about players at the time. Karl-Heinz Riedler springs to mind. Matthias Sammer.
Another fantastic defender. I think he was director of football at Borussia Dortmund at one point as well, wasn't he? But Karl-Heinz Riedler, Stuart, not so much because he went played for Liverpool, but we scrapped that he ever played for Liverpool. But what a striker he was as well.
I love bright kits like that. You could re-release this kit. Stuff comes back into fashion. It does.
Yeah, retro, it
does. This kit would look good now, but other times, no, it's not right. Things change, don't they? Again, Jurgen Koller. I'm just thinking of players who were in that kit. Jurgen Koller, fantastic central defender for them. He was brilliant. And just iconic kits. There's a big market for retro kits now. You see more and more people wearing retro kits. And there's a lot of manufacturers across the world now probably making a lot of money doing it.
Yeah, as I said, off camera, Street, mystery kits, isn't it? There's a few of them that companies that do it. And if you're lucky, you can get you could get this, or maybe a current one, or a couple of seasons ago, tops from any country that has a football team in it. But yeah, retro is a thing, isn't it? This, even though we lived through it, Stuart, you do see certain people walking around with kits you remember from the 90s to the early 2000s.
And again, Chris, one that you wanted to make reference to, they were sponsored by Sony.
Yeah.
Obviously, striped, Juventus, Juve, the stripes, just very striking as a kit, isn't it? And takes me back to Fabrizio Ravanelli, Chris.
Oh, yeah, what a player.
Del Piero, who was very young at the time.
Yeah.
Takanardi playing at the back.
Edgar Davids.
It was what lovely kit, striking, very bold. And yeah, just as you can see there, Kappa manufactured the kit at the time. And they were very successful, weren't they, around that time as well, Juventus?
Well, they had one of the world's best players ever in Zinedine Zidane, didn't they? Before he moved to Real Madrid, and that is another player. I think Del Piero as well, Stuart, that caught my eye. Obviously we watched a lot of Scorio back in the day on Channel 4, didn't we? And Zidane was a player again that took took me away from any other player I've seen in that time. And I had that kit myself with Zidane on the back. I don't know where it is now, probably one of my many boxes of football kits. But yeah, and for a Kappa kit, to be honest with you, Stu, it's a nice kit. I don't think Kappa make nice kits nowadays, but that one was nice. And again, basic. I like the collar as well.
I'm thinking like 96 final as well. They had the away. They were in the blue and the yellow at the time. I can always remember that. Just amazing. Just great times. And I saw someone in the airport last month actually wearing one. And he had Del Piero on the back of it. He was walking around. So yeah, it's just mad. You see these kits and it's like, oh wow, it brings back so many good memories because Serie A was a big part of our lives at the time. You know, we didn't just watch domestic football, did we? You know, we went the whole 9 yards of it. You know, ITV had Champions League.
Yeah.
So it was readily available. It was accessible, wasn't it? You didn't need to have 1 million subscriptions and stuff like that.
Yeah, not back then.
You know,
but I think for us, is like I said to you, what we said and spoke about one of the earliest episodes we did about when I said about Everton not performing really well, and you looked elsewhere, not to support a team, but just when all these leagues were open for us, to follow, and you end up finding certain players that blow you away, don't you? Because we're not used to seeing it being an Evertonians who playing for our club at the time. And yeah, these are the reasons why, as we go through this episode, is why I bought these kits, why I liked them, is because of these players.
Another iconic kit from 1990 from the World Cup, well known, the colours, the visual on white. Now I'm not a mega fan of plain kits, as it were, but this one was iconic. Obviously, Adidas manufactured it. It was Germany's kit, Deutschland's kit there. And again, another iconic kit. They redid it at the 2018 tournament, this design, I noticed in kits, Colombia and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So it was brought back out. But I'm getting memories here of Jurgen Klinsmann, Rudi Voller, Lothar Matthäus, Chris.
Moller himself.
It just triggers you, doesn't it? You think of the players that were wearing it, and a very successful time, obviously, and a successful tournament for the Germans, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, many at that point as well, don't forget.
It's very striking.
But again, Stuart, it's not okay. The stripes, people would say it's a bit in your face, but considering what kits look like now, and some teams have really striking kits, it's still quite nice and basic.
I think I'm just trying to think as well. I'll move over. Do you know what? We'll get our mate Batistuta in the mix, Chris.
I think we can't say any more about this man anyway, because he was sure world-class striker. But that kit, always remember it. And I always remember them tanning Arsenal's backside wearing that one and him being a vocal point of it. But you know what? It's striking. And it's Nintendo. Who else have Nintendo ever sponsored on the top? And nothing comes to mind other than Fiorentina. And I find that amazing, because you don't see many kits with a computer console as a sponsor.
I think the fact that they made purple and white work together. It's
with red as well. Don't forget.
It's crazy. Whoever put that together for them and designed it, and Feeler as well.
Yeah.
Again, just lovely, just so nice. It's so nice. Again, I've seen people wearing this. And it's it just evokes so many memories as a football fan. But you just think about Batistuta straight away, don't you, Chris?
Immediately, because he was the poster boy for Fiorentina in that kit, in that era. And like I say, I know in a way that they managed to get Nintendo. If you're getting sponsors like that in this day and age, considering how much money they are as a company, blimmin' hell. I'd like to know how much Nintendo paid Fiorentina to be on the top.
I think we could locate that information. Actually, you could find out. There's no question about that. I'm sure if we have a look, it would be interesting. I think when you look at consoles, and we're talking about consoles, and look at when Arsenal got Sega and Dreamcast, and obviously Dreamcast as a games console should have been better than it was, shouldn't it? The games are actually really, really good. It just didn't work. It didn't work out for whatever reason, did it?
Well, I think that would be more the case because of PlayStation was there then, wasn't it? And once Sony put their finger in the computer world, it turned everything upside down, didn't it? Everyone played Nintendos. You played Segas, and then PlayStation came along and changed the gaming world, and obviously now Xbox have joined the fray. A few years after, but it's an evolving sort of company. Besides talking about games, but it's just seeing certain things. As a sponsor, I think was there an American team? Is it Atlanta United? Didn't they have YouTube as their sponsor once? Again, it's just like I'd like to know how much they paid for. YouTube have paid them for a sponsor. You just don't see it in the European League, and I feel like how iconic that kit is. As much as it is really nice, and Pat Stewart, obviously a good-looking man, that back in those days, obviously makes it look nice. But I'd love to know how that came about and how much Nintendo paid, because it's a rare thing.
Wait, here's a question I'll answer after. I'll ask you first. What is your favorite kit manufacturer? If you had to pick one, if Everton could have any manufacturer, or you could get an England kit, whatever you'd want, sort of thing, what manufacturer would you like?
Well, considering we've obviously, if we go along the lines of Everton, and we've had Nike, and I thought Nike did the best kits. I thought, they weren't the nicest to wear. I think certain, like Umbro always did nice kits that fitted better than Nike ones. But if we're going off what they look like, I'd say Hummel did a really good job. But I think Nike kits were...
we were a bit stock. We were a bit of a stock team with Nike, which annoyed me.
Yeah, I agree.
The top sides get the design, don't they? Bar when we were obviously talking about the Adriano kit, because everyone had that style of kit, didn't they, by Nike that season? Yeah. But I felt we should have had our own style. And I think I was a bit... I like the Nike kits, don't get me wrong, but you saw other clubs like lower down with Nike that season in a different colour but the same design.
But yeah, you go along the line saying generic, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Generic. Yeah. Adidas make nice kits as well, though, Stuart. That you can never knock Adidas when they make a top for whatever club they obviously sponsor. But I like the Nike kits. But if you're gonna go and push me, I'd say Umbro, because Umbro to me always delivered.
I like what Umbro do now with the training tops, where they're multicoloured and all that. Luton had a nice one. Brentford as well. And Pro Training, Umbro Pro Training, like from back in the day, isn't it? For the training stuff. They've gone a bit retro with it. West Ham, they've been with them for years. I'm with you. I miss Umbro. I miss Umbro, definitely. It's weird that England rugby team have got Umbro. I never understood that. You act as if it's a football brand and that's it, isn't it?
Yeah, but we used to. If you remember back in the 90s, a lot of teams had Umbro. I mean? I wasn't a big fan of Kappa as growing up, and I don't think I'm that much now. But you had hand-me-downs, didn't you? Well, I did anyway, because I live in Hounsville 5, and you had Kappa. But you're looking at Kappa now, and say Puma as well. They're very similar. How they do quite slim-fitted, tight tops. But you look at the tops we've seen today, like the Juventus one, and Fila as well, because you don't hear much about Fila anymore. I don't even know if they're still about.
Yeah, you can get. I know JD stock Fila,
but they were nice fitting tops. Yeah. They were nice fitting.
Yeah,
and I think sometimes you can look at the top, and like I said with the Nike ones for Everton, they look nice, but when you actually wore them, and they didn't fit perfect. And that's why I liked Umbro. I think every Umbro kit I had from Everton was always fitted perfect. And I can never knock them, because they did nice kits, and there's obviously a lot of memories with Umbro because we had them for so many years. But yeah, they just did nice kits, and I was happy with them. But obviously, Everton needed more money and a bigger range and a bigger name to get better sponsorship, I guess, over the years.
I've got personalised ones here with names, obviously, on the back. And we've got the old felt personalisation in the middle there. Rude Hullet. That's Chelsea away, 95, 96, isn't it? And then you've got,
Horrid.
I think, if memory serves, that Beckham one is 96, 97. Obviously, looking from the back, you can't tell. But I used to like the felt personalisation on the back. I'm not a fan of vinyl, Chris.
They didn't come off in the wash as much, did they? Those ones. I think the vinyl ones that you get now are probably the better than they were, but they came off in the wash a lot. These ones here never come off in the wash. I've had a few Everton ones with certain players that you and your dad always seem to like laughing at me for, because I always seem to ruin them. But yeah, you couldn't complain with the Velcro because it stayed, didn't it? And and I don't even think it cost that much money to put a name on the back in those days either. But yeah, there were different things. I don't know. You can look back and think that was much better, but who do we know, eh? We're only going off our own opinion.
Again, Ronaldo, R9, we've spoken about him, the legend of the times. So like you said, his shirt should be like, in centre, front and centre. He's just down the back there. Again, kit from 98. Just an iconic kit as well. The away was nice as well, the blue and the white.
Yeah, I do agree, yeah.
Great kit, and
great team.
Finalists, obviously, as we've said before, but didn't get over the line, did they? But yeah, Dennis Bergkamp as well, Chris. What a player!
Well, there's nothing bad you can say about Bergkamp. Yeah, only thing probably say pace, but what he could do with a football was mesmerising for a guy that didn't have the pace, but he had the trickery and the ball control. And you always, and I think everyone will say this, won't they? But you always remember that Newcastle goal, or he just flipped it behind, and he used his strength to get ahead, didn't he? And obviously he side-footed it into the bottom corner. But what a magician! What a magician with a football.
I love that one against Leicester.
It's off the post and in.
It hung in the net. When he dropped it in the bottom corner.
Yeah.
The ball kind of hung a little bit, didn't he? Did all his little trickery bit. And that was when Leicester were at Filbert Street still.
Wow, that's a long time ago now, that.
Oh, yeah, just memories, man. Memories. I think, what would you say, you like the kits of today then? Or are you more for the old school, the retro kits? If you
I'd say along the lines, I prefer the retro. And maybe not the style or the look, because as we've gone through this episode, you've noticed the ones I liked aren't exactly flashy, amazing. It's a certain place that plays for the club. But the memories, I think, for me, is what I can look at a top, as we've just pretty much done now for like 20 minutes, and you can visualize things from that kit in the 90s, to the early 2000s. I don't mind kits now, but there's no history to them. I don't see the history. Well, here you go, right in front of you. You could probably sit there and tell a story for each and every kit there of a certain player or a certain moment.
I'm looking at the American one there, and I'm thinking of Alexi.
They had no history anyway.
Alexi Lalas, 94, with his ginger hair there.
And what was his name? Played for Coventry on loan. Kobe
Jones.
That's
Kobe
it.
Jones. Yeah. So, and an old 80s Roma one there, and then one from 90, I would say 91, that Arsenal one there. We've obviously talked about Germany. There's a 94 Argentina one there, Chris.
Yeah.
A late 80s AC Milan one. I'm just getting Van Basten vibes looking at that.
Yeah.
And then the PSG one there, Chris, at the bottom right.
I'm not sure about that. Sponsors bloody massive. I don't know.
Commodore.
Obviously, we spoke off camera. I had a PSG one. I had the very first one I bought was when Champion were the makers of the kit, obviously. And you don't see Champion as much anymore, do you? It was quite a big brand, wasn't it, in the 90s, Champion?
Massive in America.
Yeah.
Huge, because obviously they sponsored the kit manufacturer for all the NBA jerseys. weren't they? Yeah, it's
I
crazy.
remember it being nice and silky, Stuart. I remember it, and it was white. Obviously, I got another Paris Saint-Germain one a few years later, and it was quite similar. I didn't like the home kit. I liked the white with the blue in the middle.
I'm getting Lotto vibes here, thinking of Italy.
Okay. Yeah.
Because Fiorentina had Lotto before Fila. AC Milan was synonymous with Lotto.
Wimbledon, weren't they as well? Wimbledon had Lotto. I'm sure they did.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they ever had Elenex, the PC firm, as their sponsor on that kit. If memory serves, I could be wrong. But this it brings. You remember sponsorships, don't you? You know, you remember who was the sponsor of the shirt. You think of the kit manufacturer. Just amazing, and there's just a huge market for it now. It's amazing.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of reprinting, but you can get originals. There's original ones out there, but they cost more.
There's a lot of brands, obviously, we're speaking about, and like, you remember talking about Pony?
Yeah,
and you know what I mean. I'm sure they're in the ground now, Pony, because I don't ever see that ever. But there's just a lot of brands that were there in the 90s. You don't rarely see anybody wearing their tack now, do you? It's like people walk around with loads of Umbro stuff back in the day when we were kids. Rarely see anyone wearing Umbro. Reebok, maybe more in America than over here. It's just your Nikes and your Adidas, isn't it, that have managed to maintain that level and continue on.
Absolutely. Do you know what? It's been great going back into nostalgia. Great memories about kits there, retro kits, and I've been really enjoyed it, Chris.
It's just like it's the memory, Stuart, and I think, you know, people who watch this or listen to it, who are within the same age or older, will be able to sort of remember the kits, or even probably go further back than we can. And you know what I mean. And it's not just the top; it's you're putting a time and a place, aren't you, with that kit? And I think that's what's fascinating. We're going back to the retro, where now obviously kits this day and age, unless you're a top club, you've probably got that history where you can go, oh, we wore this and we won that. Us being Evertonians, obviously we don't have that. We can talk about relegation battles, but you know, I mean, you can go back to certain Everton tops and think, well, you know, we wore that and we got the Champions League, you know, etc., etc.
This has been episode 20 of Football Then and Now. We will be back very, very soon for episode 21. Chris, just before we close out, social media, all the social places where people can find us. You can get shorts of the show on YouTube, as well, shorts on Facebook, TikTok. With TikTok, though, you can put 10-minute clips up as well. So there is longer clips intermingled. The social media, man, where we can be followed, watched, viewed, liked.
No, and also, before we go into that, we'd like any of you, once I give the social media out, we'd love you to give us a review, a thumbs up, a thumbs down, anything you want us to cover, something you think we can do better. We will take it all in. We're happy for any sort of indication of how you want us to do the show. But yeah, if you want to find us after this and speak to us, send us a message and what have you, or like our videos or pictures, whatever we put out on our profiles. It is Football Now and Then on Twitch, X. It is Football Now and Then on Instagram, Football Now and Then on TikTok, Football Now and Then on Facebook, and Football Now and Then on YouTube. And you can catch us on all podcast platforms. Everything's there. 17 episodes are there. I will imagine there'll be more than that now once these ones go ahead and Stuart publishes them. But yeah, fantastic to live through the memories. And also, yes, Stuart, their Sport Social Podcast Network is one of the biggest in Europe. There's lots of podcasts on there, but mainly we want you to come and watch us. So ignore the rest of them and just look at the one, which is Football Now and Then. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Chris. As I say, we'll be back for episode 21 very, very soon. And yeah, Football Then and Now will return very, very soon. This has been episode 20. Nostalgic look at retro kits, football shirts, great memories, manufacturers, sponsors, style, how styles have changed and stuff like that. It's just amazing, amazing. We will see you very, very soon for episode 21.
Take care.
Football Then and Now, a fun look at football nostalgia.